I teach people how to take thrifted junk and turn it into high-end decor and furniture and sell for a high profit. I'm going to show you how I took this $3 tray and I transformed it into a $100 table. On today's video, we are going to be transforming this junky, dirty, and damaged vintage TV tray into a gorgeous work of art. My name is Emily. I'm with J. Bowen & Company. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I have many videos where I teach you how to take thrifted items and turn them into high-end decor, either that you can keep for yourself, that you can give as a gift, or that you can sell for a high profit. The first thing that I did is I filled in some of the cracks with some spackling. I did that off camera. And then after I let it dry, I took out my cleaner called the Prep. That's from Rethunk Junk, and I gave it a good clean. You always want to make sure that your piece is nice and clean. If your piece is not clean, you risk the chance of your paint not sticking to your piece. After I cleaned it a couple times, I took out my little scrubby and I just scrubbed on that spackling just to loosen it up, so all that was left was what was in the crevices and cracks. Some of that blue paint was coming off along with the spackling, and then I went back with some glass cleaner and I sprayed it again just to clean it a little bit more. Because that blue paint was coming off still, I thought that I would go ahead and prime this piece. So I'm going to use some Salvation Solution. That is a primer from DIY Paint, and I'm going to give it 2 coats of paint. This will prime your piece, even out the surface, and prevent any tannins or bleed through from the paint. And that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you prep your piece properly so that you get the best results that you can. This project is perfect if you have a piece of furniture that perhaps was somewhat damaged and you need to cover up some imperfections, or even if it's not damaged, you can use this same technique on any piece of furniture that you have or one that you might thrift or find at a garage sale. If you have a piece of furniture that is in your garage or in your basement, now is the time. It's a great time to start working on your projects and either make something beautiful for your home or flip it for some cash. I'm now taking out the Salvation Solution. This is DIY's primer. It is a great primer. It works very well. I should be using a paint can opener or a flathead screwdriver, but I have 4 other people in my household and sometimes they just disappear. I carry 3 lines of paint: DIY paint, Fusion Mineral paint, and Rethunk Junk paint, as well as Iron Orchid Designs and Jamie Ray Vintage and Whimsykel Decoupage Papers. This is actually the first time that I use Salvation Solution. It is a new product to me. It's very thick, so you just need to stir it up, but it has great coverage. So I'm just stirring it up really good, making sure I mix up the bottom and the top. And then I'm going to give this piece 2 coats of this Salvation Solution. It's going to cover up all those imperfections. It's going to stop the bleed through of that paint, and it's going to be the perfect base coat for my decoupage paper. I am going to use the Peaceful Swan decoupage paper from Whimsykel. I think you're going to love this paper. It's a beautiful swan with a reflection. It's perfect for this time of year. If swans are not your thing, I carry about 100 papers with all kinds of different prints, from animals to abstracts, florals, industrial art, all kinds of things, and there's something for everyone. I let this dry. I think I told y'all I gave it 2 coats, but it was more like a coat and a half. I let it dry, and now I just took out that beautiful Peaceful Swan paper. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to want to give it a good mist with your continuous spray bottle, and then you're going to want to set it aside. Previously, I had already decided exactly how I wanted the layout on my piece. So you need to make sure beforehand and know what you want to do and where the layout is going to be exactly on your piece. Now, this is where I messed up. Sometimes I get a little ahead of myself, so this is where you do what I say and not what I do. I went ahead and I put liquid patina, that is DIY's decoupage medium. I covered the entire top of this TV tray. That was a mistake. You do not want to do that. You want to just do a little starter strip. But by the time I realized I had covered the entire piece, it was too late. There was no backing out. Instead of covering the entire top of this table, you just want to do a starter strip, a 3 or 4 inch strip, so that you have greater control when you're trying to lay down your decoupage papers. Now these papers are 20 inches by 30 inches depending on the orientation of your paper, or it could be 30 inches by 20 inches. This was the point when I realized I had messed up and that this was going to be very difficult by myself. So I called over my 17-year-old son to give me a hand. And this is where he helped me out. Good thing he was there because I really needed his help to lay down this paper. Luckily, I had measured before and I knew where the paper needed to be, so that made it much easier, but it would have been very difficult to do this by myself, so I was thankful that he was there. At this point, I am trying to gently rub out any wrinkles in the paper. I know I need to have my brayer to help get the wrinkles out. However, I wasn't quite sure where it was. It was in the sink earlier. I thought I had cleaned it. I was looking around to see where the brayer was. I was asking my son, where is that brayer? Please get it for me. And he couldn't find it. So then I decided to head out to the garage because that's where I normally keep it, to see if I could find it. But luckily we located it. It was still in the sink. And so I had to go ahead and clean it. It had a little bit of clay on it. And I went ahead and cleaned it. And then I'm going to use it on this project. A brayer is a very handy tool to get the wrinkles out of this decoupage paper. I like to roll from the center out to the side, and it removes any of the wrinkles that may be in the paper. However, sometimes it's hard to get every single wrinkle out of your paper. Don't worry about that. If there is a wrinkle or two, I like to call that character, and it just adds to the piece. If you're interested in purchasing any of my Whimsykel papers, the brayer, the liquid patina, salvation solution, or any of the products that you see in this video today, I will have them linked in my description. You can also find any of the paint products, the Fusion Mineral Paint, DIY paint, or Rethunk Junk Paint on my website as well. And I'll have that linked in the description, as well as in the comments. Also put the code for free shipping over $100. I'm now going around the edge and I'm cutting off the excess paper, and then I'm just going to score the papers by cutting a little slit in the paper every so often. There are 2 ways that I could have applied this paper. One is apply the paper just on the top, then sand around the edges of the paper, or 2, attempt to apply the paper on the edges. It is much easier to just apply the paper to the top, sand off the edges, and paint the sides. But it does give a super cool look to have the paper wrap around the edges, but it is a little bit more difficult. This is the first time that I'm scoring the paper to go around the edges. I did this before on a round table. I didn't know to do that, and one of you guys told me to do that, and it's definitely helping out. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just scoring the edges so that will make it easier to apply to the sides. I had already applied decoupage medium to the sides of this tray, so that's why I'm just pressing it down, because there's already decoupage medium on the side of the tray. I'm going to do this all around the entire table, until I've completely scored the paper around the entire table. If you are getting any value or inspiration from this video, I would love if you would give me a thumbs up. If you're still watching this video, if you would leave me a heart emoji just so I know that you're still here with me. And also it lets YouTube know that this video is good and to let other people see the video. Y'all, I am so sorry. My kids are here and they are just yelling like wild banshees. So if you hear them in the background, I apologize. I've told them like 5 times, probably 10 to be quiet, but you know how that works. So they're just having a good time right now. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking that liquid patina and I'm going back around the edges and over the top. You need to put a top coat of liquid patina on your piece so that it will seal it. The good part about liquid patina is it works inside and outside. I'm probably going to put a couple of coats of this liquid patina on this project because if glasses or food was to get on this piece, it would be much easier to wipe off. If I was going to sell this in my booth, I would sell it for $100 and I would leave it open. It will look so cute, like a little cottagecore, kind of cottagey type piece. I think everyone will love this piece. And you see how easy and quick it was to make. I'm basically doing this in real time for the most part. But I'm probably going to keep this for myself because we eat in the living room. And my children sometimes want to eat in there, but they are the two youngest ones are 8 and 10. So they're a little young to eat like in their lap, so this would be good for them. I like to apply my decoupage medium in a cross-hatch motion or like I was painting something. Either way, I just like to give it a little bit of back and forth texture so it ends up looking a little bit like a painting. If you're able to see the decoupage medium, it looks better that way versus just like long streaky lines in my personal opinion. After your paper has dried, you're then going to want to take some sandpaper and sand in a downwards motion along the edge to sand off the excess paper. I do have one little wet spot right there where I touched up. Sometimes you have to take your decoupage medium and touch up some of the edges if they haven't stuck all the way. Are you loving this swan paper? I think it is so pretty and it looks just like a work of art. You can also decoupage these papers to dressers or to canvases, and they make gorgeous pieces of artwork. Most of the time I thrift large canvases, then I prime them, and then I apply these papers and they are just stunning. A little bit about me. I actually have a Bachelor's of Fine Art from the University of Texas in Arlington that I received in 1999. I've always been a talented artist. I can draw, I can paint, I can do all kinds of things. I love art, but right now I just don't have time to do full-on paintings. So this is a good way to get beautiful art that looks original in your home instead of going to Home Goods or TJ Maxx or someplace like that to pick up your artwork. So you can make your own gorgeous artwork in your home or to sell for very cheap, and it's a lot of fun too. Sometimes when you do these decoupage projects, there are little areas that might have torn or there's some little white areas still showing on your piece. You can go around your piece with colors that match. Because there's so many different colors in this piece, you could choose from black, white, blues, greens, whatever, and then you just touch up around the edges of your piece and it looks like one solid piece. Sometimes the image is smaller than your canvas or your furniture, so then you have to blend in the sides, and I have done that on multiple videos. If you just search my videos, there is one playlist that says Whimsykel Papers, and on that playlist is where I have done all of these different Whimsykel papers. These papers run $12.99 on my website. You can thrift canvases for a few dollars, large canvases for a few dollars, and you can add these papers onto the canvas. And like I said, they make beautiful works of art for much cheaper than even places like Home Goods where they're going to be, you know, $100 or so. Here are a few examples of a couple of tables and a few pieces of art that I have created using the Whimsykel papers. I made step-by-step videos on how to make over these projects, just look on the playlist under Whimsykel Papers. Okay, y'all, here is the before picture, and now here is the after. If you like how this turned out, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. If you're in the mood for more thrift flips, you will be able to choose from more of my videos. Thank y'all so much for watching today, and I'll talk to you in the comments.